Everyone, I'm going to now do a screen recording showing you how to complete assignment 2. On the screen right now, you're going to see an example of what the completed assignment 2 is going to look like, including with an updated flag, your headlines, your stories, photos, and cut lines. One thing that you will notice is the photo quality on this is going to look a little bit better. Unfortunately, what I supplied you was not the original photo of this. So it's going to look a little pixelated when we put it in. That is fine. That's actually a good example of what you'll need to do at the end of the semester when you're putting your first issue together. You will always need to put the high resolution photo into the folder. The folder I grabbed these from had a low res photo instead of a high res, so that's why it came through not as good a quality. So the first thing we're going to do to get started is we're going to open the template file. And for this, we need the left page template. So ensure that you use the inside left page template. And we will also open our 2016 Chronicle library file to bring in all of these styles. And one thing you'll notice I'm going to be doing a lot throughout here is just going back into my other document to grab some text. I do suggest that you manually type some of this stuff in yourself. So first thing I'm going to do is page 8. Just highlight this text, put it in 8. I'm going to update the date on here from, put it into December 12th to 18th, 2017. And the section will be campus. Wonderful. So we now have our flag updated. The next section we are going to do is put in our headline. And if you look through the assignment instructions, you're going to see all this clearly specified. I do have that open on a side screen that you're not able to see in this video, so that is how I know which headline I am grabbing right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab in a headline, and it is going to be 5 columns and bold. Again, it's very important to read through these assignment instructions. It's going to list every single detail, and you want to make sure that you do this before you submit your assignment. So wonderful. I have the 5-column bold in here. And in class, you'll remember we figured out it was a 46-point font that we wanted to use. So I'm just going to grab that text for me, and I know it's 46 that I want to put this in as. So I'm going to select all this text. You can do it by clicking in once and hitting Command A. That'll select all the text. And then I put my new text in. Size it to 46. You're going to have to manually type that in, 46. And wonderful. I'm also going to shrink this up a little bit here. You'll notice I grabbed the selection tool and then just drug up from the middle here just to give it a little less space. Had a little too much breathing room there. Next, I am going to grab a 5-column text box and bring it in. Now you'll see that that is in the page here. Just going to drag it down a little bit. Wonderful. Now I'm going to go to my assignment 2 material folder. I'm going to open up my story. Notice that is where I did get the headline from before. So for this, I'm going to grab all of this text in here up until where it has the cut line. I'm going to copy this text. Go back to my InDesign document. I'm going to paste that in. Notice all the text has a red background. That is because I need to click inside of here, hit Command A to select it all. I'm going to go to my styles over here and select body 1012. Wonderful. I'm then going to select this text here. Go to my type. I'll click on paragraph. I just want to remove the indent from this. I'm going to select the top line. I can change this to byline 1. Change this to byline 2. Awesome. And I also know that I'm going to have my photo in here. In the assignment instructions, it does list that it goes over 4 columns. We also figured out the exact height we wanted when we were in class, so I'm going to use that as well. So I'm going to go back over to the document we're working in. I'm going to go down a little bit to the pictures, and I'm looking for picture box inside page. Remember, all the other ones are meant for the front page of the paper. You want picture box inside page. I know it's going over 4 columns, so I'm going to drag it in. Make sure it's nice and even with the top line here. I'm going to drag it over 4 columns. I'm just going to change my height here to 4.6474 inches in height. Wonderful. I'm just going to click on my story here, drag that down a little bit lower because I know I'm going to have a bit of more room to work with. I'm going to let it overhang here just for now because I know I have a photo to put in, plus I'm also going to have a cut line to add in as well, as you can see from this example here. So next, I'm going to go back over to my styles here. Drag my cut line over into the page, make sure it's nicely lined up. Wonderful. Just going to go back over to my story here, my stories document, grab the cut line. Awesome. So the photograph by, I'm going to replace those 4 X's with Ali Beach. I'm going to replace this information with the cut line. And to do that, I just selected the text and then pasted it over top because I copied it from the Word document. Just going to drag it down a little bit to get it to fit in nicely. And one thing you'll remember from in class, we looked back over at the story, and there's that 1 extra line spacing they did in here just to get it to fit in. So they went over to the 3rd column, the 2nd line, right after it said come together, they just put a line break in there. And what that does is it makes it so all the text is lining up evenly across the bottom here. So as you'll see, we're about halfway done already. I'm going to add the photo in very last. Just because it's a low-res photo, it's going to take a little bit of tweaking to add it in correctly. So let's add in the 2nd story now. So for the 2nd headline, remember from the first one we grabbed the 5-column heading bold. We're not using that one this time. We're using the 5-column heading regular. If you remember from in class, we talked about that because for the top story, we're making it look more prominent. The headline's a lot bigger. For the 2nd story, the headline's going to look a little bit smaller, as you can see on the example here. I'm just going to grab the text from this. Again, I know you guys are going to have to type this out, but just to make this video a little bit shorter for everyone. And I also, in class, we figured out the font size was 35 point, which was helpful. So you'll see right now it's going to start at 32. You're going to want to change that to 35 after you put it in. We're going to paste the text in. And you would just go up here and replace that with 35. And voila. One thing to reference as well, you'll notice that the story shape for the first story, again, is going in the shape of an L, as you can follow my mouse. And you'll remember for the second story, it's going to be the shape of a U. So let's open up our styles again. We're going to grab in a 5-column text box. Just going to drag it all the way to the bottom because I know it's going to fill the full length of the page. And additionally, we are going to also have a picture box inside page. And you'll see how that is fitting in. And you'll see a U shape forming here. Just going to grab the size of that. The height is 4.2767. So I'm just going to select that photo again. Height 4.2767 IN for inches. It's sized in nicely for me there. And beneath there, I'm going to grab a cut line. So grab the cut line info. Voila, it is added in as well. Perfect. I'm going to grab my stories document here. I'm going to grab all the text from the second story as well. So let's grab all of this till right before the cut line. I'm going to paste that in. Again, you'll see the pink text because we haven't styled it yet. So I'm going to hit Command A to select everything. I'm going to change that to body 1012. Going to grab Alex's name up here, change that to headline, or sorry, byline 1. Grab the chronicle, change that to byline 2. Grab that first paragraph, and I'm going to go type paragraph. And voila. Now let's grab in our Word document one more time. Just going to grab the cut line. And I will put in Alex's name. One thing you'll notice is it's not perfectly fitting in right now. And to do that, we're going to add a bit more spacing here. So if I look at my finished product again, you're going to see that it's using 3 lines instead of 4 as we have in ours right now. What they've done here is they've added extra spacing in here just to fit it all in. So you'll see I just drug it down a little bit, and now it's all fitting in. But these lines aren't lined up yet, so we're just going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to keep nudging it down. Nudging it down. Looks like it's nicely lined up now. All that's left is to add the photo in. And one final piece actually. Before that, does anyone else notice what else is missing right now? It is our tombstone. Just going to drag this right down here. Add our tombstone in. Go to this top story. Add a tombstone in there as well. That was a little close. Just going to select it, use my keyboard arrow just to nudge it over a bit from the period there. Give it a little space space there as well. Wonderful. Last but not least, I'm going to go to my Assignment 2 Materials folder. I'm going to start by dragging the global class photo on. And I will also add in our image here. So as you can see from this one, this image came through a lot nicer for us. Just going to click inside. When we see that hand, it means we can move it around a little bit. Just going to move it around slightly. I will then double click, which will give me this yellow box I can play around with a little bit. Holding shift down to make sure that it stays proportioned. You'll notice the story does move around, but once you move the photo in so it's in the frame, it does move all the text back to how we had it, which is nice. Just going to take a look back at our photo here just to make sure it's looking close to what we should have it as. Should be a little more zoomed in here, it looks like. Wonderful. One important part here is, yes, please go back and make it as close to this image as you possibly can by looking at the assignment example I've given you. And then for this photo, I'm going to click inside. Again, we get that nice yellow box here. I'm just going to drag it out. Drag it out even farther. And you'll see that now the story is filling up all the space again. Again, double clicking into seeing that yellow box is the important part here. And holding shift down as you drag out to make sure the image stays proportionate. If you don't, the image will become skewed. It could make a person look very skinny or very fat. So you always want to make sure that as you're doing it, you are constraining with proportion by holding the shift key down. And looks like I'm just going to double click inside of here. I'm going to hold my arrow key up, the up arrow key, just to move it this way. Let's take another peek back. So they made sure that the chair was cut out here. Now I'm going to nudge it over a bit to the left. Just took away that weird space they had around here. Again, I'll let you, just going to drag it a little bit farther. I'm going to let you guys play with it a little bit on your own just to make sure it matches up as close as possible. But this gives you an idea of what you're looking at doing. Again, I'm fine with this one looking a little bit skewed. That is going to happen due to not having the high-res photo. So there was a quick example on how to put this together. I'm excited to see all your submissions for assignment 2, and as always, if you have any questions, I am always an email away. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.